Go.
Welcome students to the information session regarding the Longwood Managed Apartment Registration Process for 2007-2018. So first, want to just let you know some background information about the process. It will take place from February 13th to February 24th. Any student that's planning to participate in the registration process must create a roommate PIN through the Student Housing Gateway. This must be done prior to the housing registration process. If you created a roommate PIN last year and you remember what that PIN number is, you don't need to create a new one. But if you've forgotten what that PIN is or you've never created one, you can log in at any time and go ahead and update that in the Student Housing Gateway. Full occupancy is required to register for an apartment space. All spaces in each apartment must be filled by continuing residential students. This means that if you're signing up for a 4-bedroom apartment, you have to have 4 people in your group in order to register. If you're going to sign up for a 3-bedroom apartment, you'll need 3 people, and a 2-bedroom apartment, you would need 2. Housing registration is conducted each day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the Student Housing Gateway. Students must use Internet Explorer or Firefox as their web browsers and enable pop-ups. It's very important that you're using one of those 2 web browsers and enabling pop-ups because the system does use pop-ups, so you won't be able to get to the forms you need to get to if you don't do that. Each group will select a designated roommate who will register the group for an assignment. The designated roommate must have each student's RMS ID and roommate PIN to complete the registration process. So what we're asking is one person from your group to log in, and they will complete the registration process for the entire group. The 2 pieces of information that they must have is the student's RMS ID number and their roommate PIN. When a student logs into the Housing Gateway and creates their roommate PIN, on the screen it will also give you what your RMS ID number is. And once you create your roommate PIN, each student will get an email sent to their housing account with that information. They can simply just forward that email to their designated roommate who's going to do the registration, and they'll have all the information that they need. Those students that do not have enough roommates to fill an apartment to full occupancy can submit the apartment waitlist form, and the RCL office will assign the student to a space at the end of the apartment registration process. The process starts off with our squatting registration. Squatting registration will take place on February 13th, 14th, and 15th from 10 to 4 p.m. in the Student Housing Gateway. The squatting process is designed for students that want to return to their same apartment that they currently are residing in the spring semester now. So if you're a student and you want to return back to your same apartment, you will want to register on squatting registration and have enough people to fill the apartment to full occupancy to register. The designated roommate must be currently assigned to the actual apartment unit. They can change their bedroom within the apartment, but it has to be the same apartment unit. And as I said before, full occupancy is required in order to register. Only continuing residential students are eligible to participate in this process. That means they have to be a student that's currently living in our housing during the spring 2017 semester in order to be able to be eligible to sign up within your group. Those students that squat and return to the same bedroom are eligible to participate in summer storage. Students that are eligible for this will receive an email once the apartment registration process has concluded. The studio lottery will also be taking place February 13th to February 15th through the Student Housing Gateway. So students will log in on any of those 3 days and they can submit the lottery form. It must be submitted by the 15th at 4 p.m. Only continuing residential students that have at least 56 completed credits are eligible to submit the lottery application. Due to the limited number of studio apartments we have available, we do limit the lottery to juniors and seniors only, and so that's why you have to have at least 56 completed credits to try and sign up for a studio apartment. People with less than 56 credits can sign up for any of our 2, 3, and 4-bedroom apartments. Applicants will be re-notified regarding lottery results by 12 noon on Thursday, February 16th. Then the following week, we will begin our senior apartment registration. Students can register on February 20th from 10 to 4 p.m. in the Student Housing Gateway. The designated roommate must have earned at least 89 credits at the conclusion of the spring semester in order to assign themselves and other residents within the apartment unit. So what this means is the person logging in the Housing Gateway on this day must have at least 89 credits. They can be pulling in roommates who have less than 89 credits into their group. So a senior could be living with sophomores, a senior could be living with juniors, or a senior could be living with all seniors. It's just that the person logging in on that day has to have at least 89 completed credits. As with our squatting registration, full occupancy is required in order to sign up at Lancer Park North and South, the Landings, and Longwood Village. And the process is designed for only continuing residential students, so it has to be somebody that's currently living in Longwood housing during the spring 2017 semester will be eligible to sign up as part of your group. Following senior registration on February 21st from 10 to 4, we will have junior apartment registration. The designated roommate must have earned at least 56 credits at the conclusion of the spring 2017 semester in order to assign themselves and other residents to the apartment unit. Just like with the senior registration day, a junior could be pulling in sophomores, so they could be pulling in people with less than 56 credits to be a part of their group. It's just that the person logging into the computer system has to have at least 56 credits in order to sign up on junior registration day. Full occupancy will be required, so all bed spaces in the unit must be filled, and the process is only for continuing residential students. Following junior registration, we will have our sophomore apartment registration on February 22nd from 10 to 4 in the Student Housing Gateway. The designated roommate, which is the person logging into the computer system, must have earned at least 25 credits at the conclusion of the spring semester in order to assign themselves and other residents within the selected unit. So, in order to live in an apartment community, you just need to be a continuing residential student. So what this means is on sophomore registration day, somebody who has at least 25 credits could be pulling somebody in who has less than 25 credits, as long as they're a current residential student. So just know that. So if you have a friend that only has 21 credits and they're not considered a sophomore yet, but they're already living on campus during the spring semester, they are eligible to be a part of your group and can sign up with your group on this day. Full occupancy is required at Lancer Park North and South, Landings, and Longwood Village, which means you have to fill every bed space in the apartment unit to sign up. And only continuing residential students are eligible to live in the apartment communities. Next, we will have our apartment waitlist. So any continuing residential student that was unable to register for an apartment space is eligible to submit a waitlist application. The waitlist application will be available in the Student Housing Gateway beginning February 24th. When additional space becomes available, RCL will contact those that have submitted the waitlist. The waitlist will be rank ordered by earned credit hours. So this is not time sensitive. We'll leave the waitlist up for about a week, give students ample opportunity to decide whether they want to submit anything before we start making any assignments. And it will be rank ordered by earned credit hours. So it's not time sensitive. It's not going to be the first person who submitted it gets the first space that's available. It's going to go seniors first, then juniors, then sophomores. Here's some helpful reminders. The C bedroom at Longwood Village will be single occupancy for next year. So all Longwood Village apartments are 3 bedrooms and will house 1 student in each bedroom. The housing rates for next year are published on the RCL website. Students should discuss these rates with their family or financial provider prior to housing registration. All of our different apartment communities are priced differently, so I do encourage you to have that conversation with those that may be supporting you financially prior to deciding where you want to sign up for housing for next year. All students that register for housing are signing a legally binding agreement. All students are encouraged to review the published housing terms and conditions, which can be found on the RCL website. Students can access the Student Housing Gateway through the RCL website or directly at the link that's provided below. Make sure you have a backup plan. What will your group do if your first choice is no longer available when you register? That's really important because your group may have decided that you want to be in one certain apartment community and maybe by the time you go in to register, no apartments are available anymore. So where is the second community that you guys want to register for? It's important to have those conversations ahead of time so that the person who's the designated roommate isn't scrambling trying to figure out what everybody wants to do during registration. Make sure that you enable pop-ups in your web browser and use Firefox or Internet Explorer. That is really important. The computer system won't work correctly if you're not using those web browsers and don't have pop-ups enabled. The total number of apartment units that remain after each registration date will be posted to the RCL website. So once we conclude squatting registration, we will post on the RCL website the evening prior to senior registration how many units remain. We will then do the same thing the evening before junior registration and the evening before sophomore registration. So you can check the RCL website and you can see that information. That'll just give you a good idea of how many units remain going into the next day and what is the likelihood that you might get your first choice. Make sure that your designated roommate has each student's roommate PIN and RMS ID number. They will need to have that in order to complete the registration process.